2007 feels like such a long time ago. I was 11 in that year. I think looking back, that was the last great year in Hollywood because of 4 movies that came out. Now, there have been good years. There have been very good years in Hollywood since then. In those last 15 years, there have been very good years. But I think that 2007 was the last time that we got very high quality movies that were close to, sometimes reached the level of perfect. And I don't think that we have reached that level since. Specifically, the movies I'm talking about in 2007 were The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, and Michael Clayton. Now, I think the thing that makes these movies unique is that there is an incredible amount of nuance throughout all of them. My favorite thing in any movie is a level of mystery. And these movies are, I think, the last bunch of movies that came out, like all at once, where we have to sympathize with characters that seem irreputable. They just don't seem like... In everyday life, it would be very difficult to sympathize with them. They're almost anti-heroes. There are stories that are going on that are very difficult to work with because the characters, to a degree, are very unlikable. But the movie does such a good job at telling their story that we see the nuance of what these characters are doing, and it does it in a way that is highly, highly enjoyable. And it's also incredibly artful. It's an example of how Hollywood, at its best, is able to tell stories from different perspectives and give the story in a way that really challenges the way that you think, while at the same time entertaining you at a very, very, very high level. Hollywood does not do this very much anymore. Throughout most movies that we've gotten over the last few years, especially the ones that are nominated for the Oscars, there's very much almost, like a side, like, there it is, there's the presentation, here's what you're supposed to think. Is that how you felt? Well, here's a little exit sign that shows you how you're actually supposed to feel. Don't worry, you don't have to feel anything bad. In fact, if you sympathize with that character over there, you're the bad guy. Sympathize with that one, that's the good guy right over there. It was a time wherever, and especially there's something about focusing on different periods of time, like back in the past, whenever we have a retrospective knowing how things were. Back when it came to Jesse James, like, we're sympathizing with an outlaw. Are we supposed to do that? Is there something wrong with that? Like, we know what happened nowadays with that story, but there's something that changes about that. Same with There Will Be Blood. Same with something like No Country for Old Men. Michael Clayton, a great modern thriller about a lawyer who... It's very tough to tell whose allegiance you're actually supposed to be with. He's kind of wrestling with that too. Again, I'm not saying that we don't get movies like this today. I'm saying that most movies today, it feels like there's always a point where you are told, and that's what you're supposed to think. And that's no fun. That's not entertaining. Those are message movies. We're filled with message movies today. And like I said, there are great movies today that don't do that, that do, like Nightmare Alley. I'm recording this whenever Nightmare Alley came out just a few weeks ago. That's an incredibly complex movie. We still get those today. But 2007, that was the year whenever we got several movies that reached such a high benchmark, not just in terms of narrative or character, but just in the technical terms of actually pushing the medium forward. And I think we're being caught up with a lot of the streaming wars. People are very confused at the highest levels and the lowest levels of the industry of where our allegiances right now. How are we supposed to tell stories? Where are we supposed to tell stories? How are we supposed to respect stories with social media taking over our lives to a degree that didn't exist 15 years ago? So maybe it's just kind of a break in time, but I think that if you want to get back to a period where Hollywood is putting out the best movies possible, I think 2007 is that benchmark. Tell me if I'm wrong. What was the last year for you where, when you look at it, there were so many movies coming out at such a high level that for you, that was the last best year whenever it came to Hollywood's last best year of movies? So let me know in the comments, and as always, please subscribe to 5 Minute Critic and also like this video, and you'll be notified for future updates on reviews and movie news.